So it's January the 5th, 2025. And just finished off a day of working out. Did 22 minutes of cardio um, on a bike, just zone two, really straightforward stuff. And just came back from probably around 65 minutes at a public gym that I go to when my kid is doing kung fu. That's what my kid's doing right now um, out here. So I joined a local gym that's just across the street, and instead of sitting there and playing with my phone while my kid's doing kung fu, I go over to the public gym and I work out, which is outside my normal routine because I usually just work out at home, and I'll be providing video of that as time goes. So, recovering from a very nasty December, had two surgeries in December, and in between those two surgeries, developed a post-op infection, a blood infection, and was really sick. Actually, came off the IV just 2 days ago. So I had an angiocath in here. Every 3 days, we'd put a new angiocath in there, and we'd get a new bag of IV medicine for a daily dose. But I finally got over it, which is good news. This is the risk of surgeries. I've had this happen to me before. 2004, almost died after a knee reconstruction. Had just a huge post-op infection, and was very, very sick. I was in the hospital for 5 days. Anyway, recovering from that, just a month off, of not working out. My strength is off by maybe 10 to 20%. I can't lift as much. I can't do as many reps. My appearance, my muscles are smaller. They feel smaller. I've got this flat look. I'm not as vascular as I was earlier. Probably just not eating. I wasn't eating very well, and I was probably eating crap. I was eating a lot more carbs than normal, just sort of comforting myself, just that bad habit. It's weird because, my last surgery was December 24th, right? Christmas Eve. So I spent Christmas Eve in a hospital, and then Christmas Day at home, barely able to just, function, just barely able to walk, just trying to get through it. And one of the surprising things that came out of the post-operative CT scan is that I also have a cracked L5. So that's good. That's fabulous. I've got a lumbar 5 vertebrae that has a right side crack in it. So don't know whether that's healed or not. I'm going to get that examined over time. I'm going to go talk to a doctor that can examine that correctly and tell me whether that's an older injury or whether that's the back pain that caused me to end up having all of this other surgery to begin with, right? They were unrelated. The surgery and the back pain, or the surgery and this L5, were two different things. So anyway, but they were both back pain. Anyway, just back at it. Just so glad to be back in the gym. Just so glad to be able to start doing something. It started yesterday, actually, because the angiocath came out on Friday. And so yesterday, Saturday, I was able to do 20 minutes of cardio. Almost killed me. Like, I used to be able to do 65, 90 minutes of cardio a day, probably 250 minutes a week of cardio. Just zone two, nice light cardio, just zone two stuff. But I used to be able to do 60, 80, 75 minutes at a time. It was like no problem. 20 minutes yesterday almost killed me. So this is how fast at this age. I'm 60 years old. This is how fast at this age you decline. You take a month off, maybe 5 weeks, and you just fall off a cliff all of a sudden. You put in years of hard work to get up to a certain level, and then you just fall off a cliff. But I'm being realistic about this. I'm obviously weak. I'm recovering. My body's still adjusting to what just happened. And I believe that muscle memory and all of those other things are going to kick in here within 2 weeks, and I'll be very close to where I left off. So back on the diet, watching what I eat. Today was, eggs and some scrambled eggs and some cheese in an omelet. Had chipotle for lunch, which will be the only complex carb that I will have today, which included a little bit of rice. But I do a lot of chipotle because I find that works for me. I've got a celiac disorder, very allergic to wheat. I don't know why, but just developed this huge problem with wheat. Chipotle seems to work for me as a fast, convenient food. I usually do something like a little, just a bed of rice or a bed of lettuce. I can't do spinach because I have stones. That was the surgery. It was kidney stones. So I usually just do that, and beans and either steak or chicken, and then the pico de gallo, a little bit of corn, which has a lot of sugar in it, so it's probably not great. And then usually do another topping of lettuce on top of that, and that's all I ever have. I'll have that meal several times a week. It's the one fast food that I can tolerate without gaining too much weight or affecting my blood sugar. So I tend to try to watch my blood sugar as much as possible. I seem to be pushing my blood sugar. I seem to have pushed my blood sugar too far in life. That's the one kind of food that I can tolerate. So I'll have that, and then tonight will be a nice light meal. Lots of water, lots of fluids, caffeine and fluids. That's about it. So great to be back in the gym. I just had a really good workout just now. Just did triceps and shoulders. Did all sorts of tricep extensions. Did some forearm work, and also did some overhead military pressing, but in a seated position because I don't want to harm this L5 too much until I know what's going on with it. But good workout. Very, very. I really do like this gym. It's not crowded at all. There's nobody there. It's a very hardcore gym. There's some really hardcore guys in there that are pushing it way beyond my league. Big dudes, really crushing it. But it's empty. Place is just empty. It's not like a Planet Fitness or a popular public gym. Anyway, trying to get back into it, right? This is 2025. Gonna try to add 15 to 20 pounds of muscle this year. I was very successful in doing that last year. Put on about 25 pounds of muscle last year, which was significant for me. I'd started from a very low place. I probably had somewhere in the order of 115 to 120 pounds of lean body mass. And I was able to bring that up to a much larger number. And I got rid of a lot of fat, just a lot of sitting fat, belly fat, got rid of all that. So it was a very intense year last year. I wish I'd have documented it for you because I think it was pretty remarkable what went on last year. But I've been working out since 2022. Really haven't missed any weeks other than whenever I'm very ill. And I haven't sort of like just, backed off on it or been lazy about it. I've always been super consistent. I hope that I'll be able to share many of the ways that I have been able to keep myself consistent, some of the tricks, some of the techniques that I've used to stay consistent. I'll share those with you over time. But writing stuff down, I'm just going to tell you, just keeping records, just that mental exercise of jotting down basic records of your workouts every day, a date and a time, and here's what you did, and recording your weights and the number of reps. That's just critical. You've got to do that, otherwise you're going to lose track of what's going on. I have a stack of paper this thick. There's probably 600 to 700 workouts in there since 2022 that I've kept track of, and I use electronic mechanisms. I use apps, and I use my iWatch and my Whoop to monitor everything that I can to keep track of things, and that data tracking, just because I'm a data guy, that data tracking keeps me it keeps me motivated. It keeps me thinking through the process. I review it very frequently, and I monitor as many metrics, as many pieces of data as I can. Little things. I weigh myself every morning, And that automatically gets recorded. It goes into the Whoop app, it goes into the Apple app, it goes into the Withings app. I just get up and weigh myself on an electronic weight scale that just posts that data up into the cloud and records it for me. So that stuff is very useful, and it keeps me motivated. One of the big hallmarks of last year is I have never in my life remained a specific weight for an entire year. I was 176 pounds for 8 months last year. And I never, like, as soon as I hit like that target weight with a 10% body fat, I never really came off of it. I was plus or minus 3 pounds in any one direction. Yeah, I mean, sure, like you'd get weeks where you'd hold a lot of water, or you get weeks where you get a little bit leaner and a little bit heavier. The summer was a bit leaner, the winter's a little bit heavier. You go through those periods, but like I maintained a very, very tight weight. Historically, when I looked at my weight from the Withings app, you could see me varying in weight 20, 25 pounds, just huge variances in weight, just yo-yo weight. That can't be good for you. So one of the things that I've been able to do is maintain a very consistent weight this year, so I'm happy about that. I don't worry about my weight. I worry about my muscle mass, and I worry about my body fat. That's what I worry about. Like I spend time trying to cut back on body fat as much as possible, trying to stay, ideally just trying to stay below 15%. Maximally, I want to be below, 9%. And I've gotten there. I've been down to like almost, I think I was down to 8.8 at one point. But I've probably crept back up, especially over December. I've crept back up. I'm sure I'm over 10 at this point. It's pretty easy to do because we're talking about 16 pounds of fat total, including visceral fat. I'm talking about, this is not a lot of fat, right? Like you gain 3 pounds of fat and you're 15% all of a sudden. So, these are very tight margins that I'm dealing with. Why do I want to do this? I don't want to be fat anymore. I don't want to be out of shape anymore, right? So it requires, for a guy like me, it requires a certain amount of discipline because I can easily let myself go. I know that pattern in my life. I know that I was 237 when I was 48 years old. I was just a big round guy, looked like the Michelin Man. And I was very unhealthy. I had no strength, hadn't worked out, hadn't done any of that stuff. So, why am I being so rigorous about it now? Well, I'm 60 years old, right? I've got to pay attention to this. If I don't put in the effort and I don't put in the time and I don't put the energy into this, I'm just gonna be overweight again. I'm just gonna be out of shape and overweight again, and I don't want to do that. So anybody that's following this and looking at this channel again, hopefully I'll be able to provide you with some insight as to how to do this. The things that have worked for me may not work for you. Some of the things that work for you don't work for me. Everybody's different. Your results are going to vary. Your mileage is going to vary. I have read a lot about hypertrophy, how to grow muscle mass. I've got my hands on some very good books, very good PhD level books, textbooks on how this works, really good authors out there. I've watched hundreds of videos on YouTube about what works and doesn't work, and I've experimented with all sorts of different types of exercises and types of routines and all sorts of cadences. And in the end, this is what matters. 90% of this is just showing up. Just be consistent. Just work out 5-6 times a week. And when I say work out, I mean some cardio, some weightlifting. You do that, you just get into that habit, you just make that a daily habit, and you're going to see great changes in your physique, just enormous changes. I am very happy with where I'm at. I've got a better body than what I had when I was in my 20s. I just look, I look good. I'm very happy with where I'm at. Uh, so the changes have been spectacular. I'm very motivated to keep going. Looking forward to a 2025 where we try to gain 15 to 20 pounds and just see if we can make that happen. I think that that's going to look pretty spectacular. I don't have any ambition to be, you know, super overweight and one of these big bodybuilders. I'm not competing. I'm not doing any of that stuff. But I am going to push the envelope a little bit for a guy my age. I'm going to do things that are probably not recommended, and that's fine. That's just the way things are. I have this as a goal, and I want to meet it. Anyway, going to wait for my kid, and going to sign off and post another video later this week. Cheers.